Super Smash Bros. is a 1999 fighting game that has become a household name for Nintendo fans across the globe. However, it might come as a surprise to many that the game was originally developed under a different title, Dragon King the Fighting Game. The game's original concept had no ties to established Nintendo franchises, and little is known about it. All we had for a while was a few screenshots of a release during an Iwata Asks interview with series director Masahiro Sakurai. Despite the lack of information, it is evident that Dragon King had many similarities with Super Smash Bros. For instance, the gameplay mechanics were very similar to those in the final product. However, unlike the final game, the prototype did not have any items. Additionally, the Dragon King character, who bears a striking resemblance to Captain Falcon, appears to use some of Falcon's moves, and shares a similar looking model and pose, leading to speculation that he was the prototype for Captain Falcon. For over a decade, the 3 screenshots were the only pieces of evidence that Dragon King even existed until October 20th, 2022, when Masahiro Sakurai revealed gameplay footage of the prototype for the first time. On his YouTube channel, Sakurai shared that Dragon King was developed in conjunction with another Nintendo 64 prototype, which is described as an RC robot adventure game, which was eventually turned down in favor of Dragon King. In 2003, the game developing studio Genkai had plans to release a racing game based on the first and second movies of the popular franchise, The Fast and the Furious. The game was meant for Xbox and PlayStation 2, and was scheduled to be released in November of that same year. However, not much information about the game has been revealed. According to sources, the game's concept were similar to those of Tokyo Extreme Racer and Midnight Club 2. The game was designed to start with a player being a beginner street racer, who would gradually progress in the game, becoming well known and building a reputation on the street. A wide range of licensed cars and customization options were available to players, which would unlock as they progressed throughout the game. Unlike other racing games, players were confined to racing within the city of Los Angeles, and the gameplay was described as arcade style with drag, street, and closed course races being the standard fare. The reason behind the game's cancellation has not been officially disclosed. However, it is widely believed that the developer was dissatisfied with the game's graphics, which paled in comparison to Need for Speed Underground, which was a game that released that same year. No demos or playable builds of the game have been made available to the public. Mr. Bill's Neighborhood was a game planned for release on the Atari 2600 in April 1983. The game was based on the popular clay figurine character Mr. Bill from Saturday Night Live. The game was developed and published by Data Age, and was set to be the first ever Mr. Bill video game. The game was showcased at the 1983 Winter CES, which generated interest from fans of the show. In the game, the player would have taken on the role of Mr. Bill, trying to save his family and neighborhood from the nemesis Slugo. The game would have been challenging with Mr. Bill facing speeding traffic, dead-end alleys, and Mr. Hands, who would push Mr. Bill towards Slugo. Unfortunately, the game was cancelled before its release along with another licensed game by Data Age called Smokey Bear. The reason for its cancellation was due to the poor performance of the previous licensed game Journey Escape. Data Age was unable to pay the licensing fees for the 2 games, and the subsequent video game crash of 1983 further impacted their financial stability. According to a 1983 article in Video Games Magazine, the license for Mr. Bill's Neighborhood was returned to Walter Williams when Data Age folded. Since the cancellation, no prototypes or ROMs of the game have surfaced. It wasn't until 2010 when Capcom released 2 new Mr. Bill games in the App Store, marking the first official Mr. Bill games in nearly 3 decades. Rabbids Invasion is a Facebook game developed by Ubisoft Paris and published by Ubisoft on April 3, 2012. On January 28, 2013, the Rabbids Invasion Facebook page announced that the game would be closing on February 13, 2013 for reasons that are unknown. However, the name Rabbids Invasion was subsequently used for an animated TV series that debuted in August 2013. The game was set in a world where humans lived peacefully, and the player's objective was to invade this world and cause chaos while also gathering experience and items for later use. The game featured a single-player mode where the player would be paired with a fake friend, as well as a multiplayer mode where up to 5 people could participate in a single game and receive rewards upon completion. Players could invite friends from the list to the game, trade items, and complete quests together. During its lifetime, the game was not well received, and there are very few gameplay videos available online. Ubisoft has not mentioned the game since its closure, and there is currently no way to play the game or access its files or assets online. Pyramid was a Japanese arcade game that was created and published in 1978 by the company Sango. Although not much information is available about the game, it is known that it is an Egyptian-themed clone of the popular game Breakout. A YouTube video featuring gameplay footage of Pyramid once existed but has since been made private. However, in 2014, a user on Nikozon uploaded a clip of the game's Attract mode, recorded from a camcorder. Also, the game was featured on the Japanese TV show Game Center CX, and the host played the game briefly before losing. Pyramid includes several variations of the breakout gameplay, such as blocks in both horizontal and vertical orientations, snake-like objects that appear between the blocks, and a colorful bust of King Tutankhamun. Additionally, hieroglyphics appear seemingly to act as bumpers for the ball to bounce off of. The instruction sheet shows various stages, featuring graphics of birds and a stage in which the bricks are arranged to look like a pyramid. As of this recording, all we have of this game is a short snippet of low-quality gameplay, some flyers promoting the game, and a few screenshots. In 1997, an adventure game called Blue Sango was released for both Windows and Mac operating systems. The game was developed and published by Gyro and utilized Apple's QuickTime VR technology, making it a puzzle-based point-and-click adventure game. Most known information on the game is on Gyro's archived page. Despite there being several images of the game and its development on the website at one point, only one screenshot is available via the Wayback Machine. The website notes that a number of voice actors contributed to the game's production as well. Blue Sango was included on various software lineups, the most notable being Bandai's Pippin titles CD-ROM catalog for summer 1996. This catalog also lists the game as having been released in the summer of 1996. Gyro's current website also features Blue Sango on the history page, displaying the game's box artwork. In December 2020, Twitter user Gula Sound shared images of the game's front and back cover seeking information about it. This same copy was later sold on Mercari for 490 yen, but the game has still not surfaced online since. Namco, the video game company behind the iconic Pac-Man franchise, released a mobile phone version of their arcade game PacMan Plus in 2008. However, this port features several notable differences when compared to the original arcade version. For example, the graphics are more detailed, the color of the maze varies between levels, and certain ghosts become unaffected by power pellets only if the maze's color matches their own, rather than being randomly unaffected. The mobile platforms on which the game was released on have not been specified in any official material, but it's known that the game was not released on smartphones in any form. As of 2023, all official web pages for the game have been taken down, except for a surviving page on the partially broken Namco Games website, which does not offer any option to purchase the game. Unfortunately, the full game is still currently lost, but 2 demo builds were uploaded to the Internet Archive on August 28, 2022. These demos were obtained by extracting the game data from the firmware of the Samsung phones on which they were pre-installed on. Mini Poccha was a mobile game developed by 5th Cell Media, who were the creators of popular games like Drawn to Life and Scribblenauts. It was published by THQ Wireless and was designed for Nokia Series 40 and Nokia Series 60 phones. Although the game is available for purchase on these platforms, it is currently unavailable to play. However, some game assets are still visible in existing downloads. The game was similar to Tetris, and the game's description reads, "Blocks come in 4 colors and are either full or half full. When a block lands, the water inside it will pour down until it stops. Drop a full block onto another full block of the same color to burst them. Get bonuses by bursting large rectangles of blocks or even shapes. Get more bonuses for causing a chain reaction." There are some screenshots of Mini Poccha on websites like Z Group and the archived 5th Cell page. The jar file of the game is available for download on sites like Phonokey, but it seems that the game cannot be played beyond the title screen when run through an emulator. Ratchet & Clank is a highly acclaimed video game franchise owned by Sony with a total of 17 installments as of 2023. Since its inception in 2002, the series has been one of PlayStation's flagship franchises, receiving new media releases on a regular basis. In 2005, the franchise made its first foray into mobile gaming with the release of Ratchet & Clank Going Mobile, which was a 2D side-scroller that saw the characters transported into the virtual world of a Secret Agent Clank vidcomic. The game ended on a cliffhanger teasing a potential sequel. News of a direct sequel titled Ratchet & Clank Clone Home surfaced on June 16, 2006 through an article posted on IGN.com. The game was to take place immediately after the events of Going Mobile, with Ratchet & Clank shrinking themselves down to an undisclosed location to fight clones of themselves. The game promised to feature 15 playable levels and a larger selection of weapons than the last game. However, for reasons unknown, the game was eventually cancelled, and as of this recording, no builds of the game have been made available online. Despite its cancellation, it appears that Clone Home was near completion, as the title screen image suggests that players would be able to unlock a skin for Ratchet in a future installment of the franchise. It is unclear which game this would have been compatible with. A member of the Lost Media Wiki reached out to a Java Ground employee who confirmed that the game had reached Gold Master status, indicating that it had finished development. As of this recording, all we have of this game is a handful of screenshots.